Hey guys, this is 9-4 Rational Expressions. We're going to be looking at simplifying these and also how to multiply and divide before we look at doing addition subtraction, which will be a 9-5. Okay, first example, we have simplify x squared minus 6x minus 16 all over x squared plus 5x plus 6. State any restrictions on the variable. Okay, remember in class we talked about restrictions. Restrictions are anywhere that your denominator would be equal to 0, because then you would have a function that does not exist. You cannot have a 0 in the denominator, otherwise it's undefined. So restriction is anywhere your denominator equals 0, and I'm going to write that right here. Denom equals 0. Okay, so you set this equal to 0, solve for x, and that's 0 restrictions. All right, now let's take a look. This is obviously a trinomial, and so is the denominator, so we are going to need to factor that. There's a variety of ways to do that, and you can do it any method that you prefer. I'm going to use the x method that I showed in class on Friday. Remember, up here is where your AC stuff goes, and the A is 1, C is negative 16. So this would be negative 16. And in the bottom is your B, which in this case is negative 6. Now we need to find factors of negative 16. That would give us a sum of negative 6. That would be negative 8 and positive 2, because negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Now, let's do the denominator. And we've got 1 times 6 is 6. 5 is in the middle, so 5 goes down here. 6 times 1 would give us 6, but 6 plus 1 would give us 7, which is not 5. So we need to go with 2 and 3. Okay, so now in the numerator, we have x minus 8 times x plus 2 all over x plus 2 times x plus 3. Okay, so now to find the restrictions, we set this equal to 0, right? And that's not hard to do. We've done this before, the zero product property, if you remember. So x plus 2 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. And these will be your restrictions. So we subtract 2 from both sides, and we have x is negative 2. Subtract 3, and we have x is negative 3. Okay, now we look in here and see if there's anything we can cancel out. X plus 2 and x plus 2 are common, so now we're left with x minus 8 over x plus 3, where x cannot equal, and you can put a comma, and then x does not equal negative 2, negative 3. And this would be your final answer. Okay, so not hard, but definitely you have to go through a process to make sure you get everything. Okay, let's go on to example 3. We're skipping example 2 because it does not pertain to anything that we're looking at, and it won't be on the test anyway, so therefore example 3 is going to be best for you. All right, so multiplying rational expressions. Multiplying is super easy because you just multiply across, numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator. And that's all you have to do, right? Except you have to cancel out like terms and state any restrictions. Okay, now if we look at this one, we have 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. So the a is 3, the c is negative 2. I need to multiply those together to get the AC, and that is going to give me negative 6, and then in the middle is 5. And then we're going to use the box method. Wow, those lines are really not straight. Sorry about that. Okay, and then we know the 3x squared goes up here. The negative 2 goes down here. Now we need to find factors of negative 6 that would give us a positive 5. So we could do negative 2 and negative 3. That gives us negative 5, but negative 2 and negative 3 gives us positive 6. So what about 6 and 1? So we've got positive 6 minus 1. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. So we're going to put 6x here, negative x there. All right? Now let's take a look at this one because this is the other trinomial that we want to factor down. And we're going to do a times c, so that's going to be 6. Negative 7 goes down here. The only way we're going to get negative 7 is 6 and 1, and both of those being negative. So negative 6, negative 1. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6, so that's good. Now we want to set up the box, and we put the first term here, the last term here, and then we take these two that we determined, the factors, and we put them on the other diagonal. Okay, so now let's go ahead and factor our little heart out. 3x squared and 6x have a greatest common factor of 3x. Negative x, negative 2, negative 1. 3x squared, negative x, they only have an x in common. 6x and negative 2 have a 2 in common. 3x squared and negative 6x have a 3x in common. Negative x and 2 have 1. 3x squared and x would be x. Negative 6x and 2 would be 2. Okay, before I write this one down, I want to draw your attention up here one more time. This one, this sign here tells us that it's the same. So we have the same sign. And this tells me that they both must be negative. So this is actually going to be 3x minus 1 times x minus 2. Looking over here at this one, we're good. There's no, that one's always going to work. So 3x minus 1 times x plus 2. Okay, this one is another one that you might want to remember. This is a difference of squares. So then that's x plus 5, x minus 5. And I don't think there's anything else that we can simplify at this point. So let's go ahead and rewrite this in its expanded form. So we have 3x minus 1, x plus 2, all over x minus 5 times, because we're multiplying, x plus 5, x minus 5, because that's where the x squared minus 25 factors down to. And then the 3x squared minus 7x plus 2 becomes 3x minus 1 and x minus 2. Okay, before I go and start simplifying and canceling out like terms, I want to find my restrictions. Anything that would equal a, or cause my denominator to equal 0. So we would have x minus 5 is 0. We would have x minus 2 is 0. Whoops. And then we would have 3x minus 1 is 0. Okay, so this one is going to give us positive 5. This one is going to give us positive 2. And then this one we would add 1 and then divide both sides by 3. So our restrictions are 5, 2, and 1/3. There we go. Now, looking at our multipliers, the products, we want to see if there's anything we can cancel out. I see those 3x minus 1, x plus 2, x minus 2, not the same, x plus 5, x minus 5, x minus 5. Here we go. Okay, so in the numerator, we have x plus 2 times x plus 5 all over x minus 2. And the restrictions are x cannot equal 1/3, 2, or 5. And this would be your answer. Okay, one more example and then we're done with this section. So let's go ahead and finish up. Dividing rational expressions is perhaps the most difficult, just because you have to remember the rule about multiplying fractions, or dividing fractions, I should say. So if you remember, if you have 1/2 divided by 2/3, you have to leave it, change this to multiplication, and then you flip it. This becomes 3/2. Then you multiply straight across. So then you have 3/4. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and erase this, and let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got. Oops, there we go. All right, so we've got 3 minus y over 2x minus 1, x plus 5. 6 times y minus 3, 2x minus 1, x minus 7. We're dividing this one by this one. Well, this basically means that we're going to do that, right? All right, so let's go ahead and write that down. We have 3 minus y over 2x minus 1, x plus 5. And then we have times, let's flip this, and we have 2x minus 1 times x minus 7 all over 6 times y minus 3. Okay, we need to find the restrictions before we do anything else, like always. So 2x minus 1 equals 0. So we would add 1 to both sides, and then we would divide by 2. So x is 1/2. This one, x plus 5 equals 0. So then we know it's -5. And then y minus 3 equals 0. Add 3, so y is 3. So right now, we have x is 1/2. We have x is -5. And we have y is 3. But before I do anything, this is a denominator as well, isn't it? Can this ever equal 0? No. So we need to address this one as well. 2x minus 1, we already have that one, x minus 7. So x minus 7 equals 0 would be x is 7. There we go. Now we've taken every possibility into consideration with respect to this being divided by this. That means that this obviously can't be a 0 at any time, regardless if it's in the numerator or in the denominator, because if it's in the denominator, it's undefined. If it's in the numerator, it's 0, and then we would have this divided by 0, and that would be undefined. So much undefinedness. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what we can cancel. We have 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1. X minus 7 is solo. 3 minus y. That's awfully familiar to this one. So let's see if I can rewrite this. We're going to put that as -y plus 3. Well, -y, positive 3, -3. So if we factor out a -1, then we have y minus 3. And this matches that. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we're left with -1, x minus 7 in the numerator, all over 6 and x plus 5 in the denominator. The x's, the restrictions, x cannot equal 1/2, -5, or 7, and y cannot equal 3. All right, that concludes this lesson. I hope this has made some sense. If not, please see me before or after school so that we can clear any questions up. Thank you.